Honorable Mkhwebane.
House Chairperson, the EFF supports the National Nuclear Regulator Amendment Bill. The National Nuclear Regulator Amendment Bill seeks to ensure that South Africa aligns itself with international nuclear safety standards. And to do this, we must change the powers and functions of the National Nuclear Regulator. Our position as the EFF is clear. We maintain that to stabilize energy supply, we must maximally pursue a mix of energy sources, including the expansion of our nuclear capacity beyond Koeberg Nuclear Power Station, which remains the sole nuclear facility in Africa. Nuclear must be a large part of our low carbon and efficient base load source of energy. And we must pursue this program with the necessary agency, discipline, and dedicated resources. The reality is that nuclear energy, as things stand, is one source of energy that can play a decisive role to ensure that our base load power generation is stable without being affected by external weather. Since rain in South Africa affects the quality of coal, something that does not happen anywhere else in the world. It is nuclear that can ensure that we produce large amounts of electricity whilst reducing our carbon emissions. We are unapologetic that South Africa should continue to maximally use coal and explore scientific technologies such as carbon capture and offsetting mechanisms to ensure that we reduce emissions, but nuclear power will contribute as it is a low carbon source of electricity. The reality is that even on cost, nuclear is far much cheaper. It is a fact that a nuclear generated kilowatt is far much less than what is being stolen from Eskom through power purchasing agreements with independent renewable power producers. It costs 40 cents per unit, a far much significantly lower price than the 6 rand per unit for electricity generated from renewable power producers. On top of this robbery, these are the very same independent power producers whose projects have a state loan guaranteed of more than 187 billion South Africans. Imagine that, which is the value of private capital-led initiatives to try and make a profit from electricity generation, and the state has guaranteed that should they fail to pay back their loans, we will all be collectively responsible for their mess. That is enslavement of our generations to come. Lastly, nuclear will give us the necessary energy security and independence, which is central to economic stability and security, as we have witnessed in the past 15 years, the damage caused by the unreliable sources of unreliable supply of electricity on the economy because of electricity blackouts and load shedding. Honorable members, we should immediately pursue global cooperation with nations that have experience and capacity to build large-scale nuclear power plants. Countries such as Russia have done this many times, have the necessary experience and the correct political approach that can allow for a build program that is coherent, practical, and will deliver a nuclear power plant without unnecessary delays, including considering purchasing power agreements. Lastly, House Chairperson, nuclear energy is going to be central to the reindustrialization of South Africa and African continent. The EFF supports the Nuclear Regulatory Authority Amendment Bill. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable member, Honorable Prof. Again.
I continue. Honorable House Chair, as a party that has consistently been highlighting the government's failure to adequately manage ESCOM, subsequently providing South Africa with more load shedding than electricity, it would be disingenuous of us. It would be disingenuous of us not to welcome any attempt at increasing ESCOM's electricity generation capacity. As we have stated in this House last week, we welcome the plans to incorporate nuclear power generation, as it will most certainly lessen the load and expectation on ESCOM. However, as a party that also takes our environmental responsibility very seriously, we need to emphasize the importance of the government's management of nuclear facilities. While nuclear power is a very clean source of energy generation, as opposed to our country's over-reliance on fossil fuels, we still need to be cognizant of the dangers that come with it. Therefore, we welcome the bill's progressive attempt to address some of our concerns regarding this matter, as it seeks to provide financial provision for costs associated with the safe rehabilitation or decommissioning of nuclear facilities. Financially and environmentally, our country cannot afford to follow the same status quo these facilities as we have with some of our gold and coal mine shafts that have been left unrehabilitated. It is with this in mind that we urge the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy to ensure that effective plans are put in place for nuclear waste disposal, and that the regulatory body is made up of individuals with the necessary knowledge and expertise. Honorable Chairperson, the only way in which public trust in this transformative path solution can be gained is to ensure that South Africans are convinced of the government's ability to safely dispose of nuclear waste. Further, we also welcome this bill's intent to ensure that consequence management measures are in place as it seeks to provide for administration fines. Notwithstanding the concerns raised, the IFP supports the bill. I thank you.
Thank you. NFP, Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I got to get used to saying Deputy Speaker because it's always the chairperson or the speaker. But welcome, Deputy Speaker. The NFP will support the amendment in terms of this bill tabled here today. I think what is very important for us to note that whilst this has a lot of advantages, there are also risks attached to it. And let us not forget the Chernobyl disaster 38 years ago, where an estimated 30 people died immediately, with another 60 of them over a period of time. But I think having taken note of the report, we are quite convinced that the committee has done everything it necessary has to do, including, of course, submissions. And we do note that OUTA, one of the organizations has raised concerns about its independence. But I think if you take the cost effectiveness of nuclear energy, we must welcome this. So the National Freedom Party will support this bill. Let me also draw the attention, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to this House. We got up to some very bad news yesterday, very painful news indeed, that a Dr. Zamambo Sipokazi Mkize, one of the very few pediatricians that we have in this country, was brutally murdered and a body dumped in the boot of the vehicle in Mbali Township. This is the kind of life some of our people have to go through in this country as a result of the high levels of crime. And that is why I think we say police officers must treat the criminals with the contempt it deserves. And perhaps it's time to have a relook of the death penalty in the country as well. But having said that, let us also take note of what's happening in Palestine. 18 people were brutally massacred yesterday in Rafah by the Zionist state of Israel. And I don't know if we've noted that very little or nothing is said when a black doctor gets massacred by people on the left. But had it been a white doctor that was murdered in that manner, I can tell you this House will be abuzz with that news. Black lives don't matter when it comes to them. That is the white supremacy that exists all over the world, the white domination. But also we want to say, South Africa needs to enhance its nuclear capability because some of those, like the West, seems to abuse that authority that they have based on the nuclear availability in their respective
Honorable
countries.
Member,
We support this. Thank you very much.
thank you. Your time is over. Then. Thank you. Your time is over. Honorable members, let us convey our condolences to the Mkize family for that death that Honorable Sheikh Imam refers to. I think it is appropriate that we convey our disgust for this criminality, that it be brought to a halt as soon as yesterday. Thank you very much. Honorable Chobeka Makeke.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, the African National Congress supports the amendment to the National Nuclear Regulation Bill. The stated objectives of this bill correspond with the ANC's policies imperatives in the nuclear industry, which assert that nuclear and radiation activities, such as the medical uses of radiation, the operation of nuclear installations, the production, transport, and use of radioactive material, and the management of radioactive waste must be subject to standards of safety as recommended by the International Atomic Energy Agency. While the primary responsibility for nuclear safety falls within the remit of the National Nuclear Regulation, nuclear and radiation risks transcend the NNR, and thus the amendment to Section 6 of this bill provides the organs of state, including the various departments, Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, the Department of Health, the Department of Energy, the Department of Employment and Labor, the Department of Minerals, Resources and Energy, the Department of Water and Sanitation, the Department of Transport, to cooperate to ensure the effective monitoring and control of radiation hazards in addition to nuclear hazards. Interestingly, cooperation and partnerships amongst organs of state are not an automatic byproduct of this bill, but require clear and bold steps to explore solutions to cross-cutting regulatory issues in the nuclear industry. Unfortunately, before the amendment to the bill, the NNR did not have a leeway to define clear and bold steps to cooperation and partnerships amongst organs of state, leading to the NNR's inability to act as a safety net between uranium contaminated tailings and the public, for instance. To explore potential solutions to this, Section 6 empowers the NNR to sign agreements with various organs on state that define roles, mechanisms, and procedures for cooperation and partnerships. Perhaps important to this debate, the agreements also include specific steps to take in case of non-compliance or disagreement over the implementation of the agreements. In this way, this bill encourages interaction amongst involved organs of state and allows them to develop a regulatory framework for nuclear and radiation safety with a focus on finding common ground. The interaction between the NNR and the DOH, South African Health Products Authority, which is SARA, for example, can support quality improvement in nuclear medicine practices to meet public expectations of healthcare and help protect the public from unsafe or substandard healthcare practices. Nuclear medicine, which uses radioactive material, has had a positive effect in curbing various cancers such as prostate, thyroid cancer, neuroendocrine tumors, and more recently, terminal brain cancer. Moreover, it has demonstrated effectiveness in improving the quality of life for patients with debilitating conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. To ensure that nuclear medicine is recommended as the primary diagnostic or treatment go-to and reaches patients in need, nuclear medicine centers must be established at district, provincial, and national level hospitals across the country. Amendments to Section 5 and 6 of this bill empower the NNR and the SARA to cooperate to exercise regulatory oversight effectively and efficiently with respect to the monitoring and control of radioactive material used in nuclear medicine centers. While nuclear medicine centers are important, they are not the only key players in delivering nuclear medicine. Nexus Nuclear Radioisotopes Group also plays a critical role in the production and supply of nuclear technology-based products and services for healthcare, such as molybdenum, which supports the practice of nuclear medicine. As such, this bill strives to deliver an optimal regulatory framework for nuclear medicine, which in turn will enable nuclear medicine centers as well as the NTP group and their professionals to achieve and maintain high standards of healthcare. Amendments to Section 26, which extends and clarifies the responsibilities of the holder of authorization, and Section 38, which extends the role of the NNR in emergency planning to emergency preparedness to respond, create an environment conducive enough for the NNR to ensure the health professionals and in nuclear and radioactive facilities are well trained to improve safety and quality in healthcare practices on the other hand, and to review the emergency plans of nuclear and radioactive facilities and keep them updated to minimize radiological incidents and emergencies on the other hand. Going further, the amendment to Section 5 of the bill empowers the NNR to exercise regulatory control related to safety over the construction, seating, and decommissioning and closure of nuclear installations. Part of the reason why this amendment
Honourable Member,
is so
I'm
attractive
afraid your
is
time
that
has
it
expired.
empowers the NNR to play a critical role. I thank you, Chairperson.